Good morning. How's everybody doing? Welcome. This is Peak Performance Neurofeedback. As you can see, our session is already underway. You can see my brainwave activity on the bottom on this screen right here. And, there's a lot of activity, right? From delta all the way up to beta. But that's because I'm thinking, I'm talking, right? I'm engaging my brain in talking to you right now. This is Devin Lockett, BioMedRx TV, and the Peak Performance Protocol. Right now, this is early Sunday morning. Happy Sunday morning to everyone. Right now, I'm having neurofeedback. I'm doing Peak Performance Neurofeedback, also known as EEG Biofeedback. And neurofeedback is an electronic method of training the brain to return to its natural balance. Okay, I've explained it on a number of other videos. You can see those on BioMedRx TV and on the Devin Lockett channels on all platforms, YouTube, Rumble, BitChute, everywhere. And so without further ado, I'm going to begin my session. Now you're going to watch my brain waves calm down after I begin my session, right? So just sit back and relax and enjoy. I'm going to be looking at this screen right here. I'm not going to be looking at you. I'm going to be looking at this screen right here. And you can see right now my delta waves are already starting to calm down. Every time you hear the gong ring, that means that both hemispheres of my brain are operating in synchrony with each other, training at 50 hertz, which some people believe is faster than a person can think. So the gongs are good. That's called the reward indicator. Little tear comes down. This is work. It looks easy, but this is work. Trust me. You can see my eyes watering. This is my first time training in about a year, or maybe even longer. All right, now you're going to notice my brainwave activity bumping up right now because I'm talking to you. If you have any curiosity about neurofeedback or EEG biofeedback, mention it in the comments below. If there is anything else that you would like me to include on these videos, mention it, and I will include it in future videos. Little fatigue there. I'm coming up on the end of my session. Six minutes. All right. So that was it. That was an hour-long session of Synchrony Neurofeedback at 50 hertz, which is pretty high frequency. Actually, it's the highest frequency that the Signet software offers. And now I'm removing the EEG amplifier. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Wow. Okay. So I made it go away. Very good. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the session. We're going to come back to, let me bring back our chart. Let's see here. Brainwave frequencies chart. All right. So once again, to recap, training delta. I can come over here so you can see me while I wipe the paste off of my forehead and off of my rear head. Delta waves are 0.5 to 4 hertz. Okay, that's to put a person to sleep. That's associated with deep sleep, transcendence, restoration. Right. I got some good delta sleep last night, so I get up and train very effectively in the gamma zone. Then you have theta waves. Theta waves are 4 to 8 hertz, and that's like in the hypnosis zone, or REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, or light sleep, right? And above that is alpha waves. Alpha waves are 8 to 12 hertz. Alpha waves are associated, theta waves are associated with visualization, trance, and dreaming. Alpha waves, 8 to 12 hertz, a little bit faster. They're associated with meditation, creativity, and relaxation. Alpha theta neurofeedback is very pleasurable. There is no visual feedback on alpha theta. You're basically closing your eyes. It's almost like being asleep. And if you do it while you're sleepy, you could actually fall asleep. Beta waves, 12 to 30 hertz. Now we're reaching a higher state of neocortical arousal. And beta waves are associated with alertness, concentration, and thinking. And gamma waves, here's where we trained today. Gamma waves are between 30 and 50 hertz. Gamma waves, I trained in a pretty high gamma state because I didn't train at 30 or 40. I trained at 50. Gamma waves, they say here, are between 30 and 100 hertz. And that is insight, peak experiences, and synchronization. The gamma waves are associated, they call the gamma zone the unifying frequency, or problem solving, or enlightenment. With every increase in frequency that you train, there is an increase in neocortical arousal. And with an increase in neocortical arousal, there is a corresponding increase in physical arousal. You don't realize it. You may notice it maybe in your shoulders and your neck or whatever. But as you reach higher stages of neocortical arousal, you may have a corresponding increase in physical arousal. With exception of the gamma zone, the gamma frequency zone. When you reach the gamma frequency zone, it's like intense, it's like the state that is reached by lifelong meditators, monks, and so forth. After years and years of training. And when you reach the very high stages in gamma, there's a high state of neocortical arousal, and the body actually goes in the opposite direction. The body becomes calm. Okay? So as you reach higher and higher states of neocortical arousal, there is a corresponding rise in physical arousal. For example, if we're training in the delta wave zone, I could shrink this down actually and show it to you while I'm talking to you without it blocking my face, right? Right. There you go. You guys still see it right there, right? Okay, so if you're training in delta, right, you can put someone to sleep. If you train someone at 5 hertz, 4 hertz, 3 hertz, or whatever, the result of that training is probably going to be that the person falls asleep. Sometimes the client falls asleep during alpha theta. If someone comes in already fatigued, already tired, when you train them in alpha theta, they could actually fall asleep. This does not mean that you are not still training. You can still train in alpha theta while you are asleep. Okay? When you train in alpha, some people find that the yummy zone. I like to train couples. We have a protocol called the honeymoon protocol, within which we take the 2 channels of the amplifier. This is channel 1 and this is channel 2, and the black is the ground, which is common. That was the one I had in the center of my forehead. I was using the 2 channels to synchronize the 2 hemispheres of my brain, with channel 1 being on the right hemisphere, and channel 2 being on the left hemisphere. But we could do a single channel protocol. For example, T3, T4 right here, or P1 and P2. P3, parietal 3 and parietal 4. Okay, which is really good. Okay, on 2 people, and put a splitter on my headphone so that I can have them wear headphones. It's called the honeymoon protocol. You can actually synchronize the brains of 2 people. And I've had couples come to me when I had the shop open, and they had some pretty, it's a good date night idea. They had some pretty good experiences. They would leave my office finishing each other's sentences and laughing together, and it seems like a really good experience. Sometimes parents, when they're having issues with their children, they go through a honeymoon protocol so that you can kind of sync up with your kid. So anyway, that happens. Now, I haven't yet trained gamma on a honeymoon protocol with 2 people, so I don't know what the result would be. But most of the time in the honeymoon protocol, I'll either train them together alpha theta, or train them together in the alpha wave zone. I won't really go any higher than that, much higher than that. So I feel great. Okay, after the end of an hour-long neurofeedback session, I feel great. There is an immediate effect because I've been training for years, and I'm sure you heard the gongs many times throughout the session, and and I hope I left it up so that you could see my brainwave activity as well on the graphs. You know, a lot of people some people train by looking simply at their brainwave patterns and trying to calm them down. that way. The brain is very curious about itself. When you have a signal that is analog, that is analogous to the to what's going on in the brain is going to want to look at that, right? The brain is your brain is very curious about itself. So you can actually train by simply looking at your brain waves. Now, even that is not as easy as it sounds, because we tend to want to try to do things, right? We tend to try to do things, and this is an experience that is more about surrender than it is about trying. So it is definitely to learn how to train is important, right? But this is something that comes with experience. You need at least 20 neurofeedback sessions in order to even come close to provoking a shift. And you need to do them in close intervals. So you're going to see me doing sessions tomorrow. You're going to see me doing sessions probably every day that I can for the next 20 days. I'm going to try to do them every single day, right? Now, some people train twice a day. Training twice a day is good. You can train twice a day. But I kind of like to just train and relax, and yet keep it in very, very close interval. We have an expression in neuroscience, shift happens. And that means that when you train the brain, and it is training, right? So that means you have to do it in repetitive sessions. When you train your brain, eventually you will provoke a permanent shift in neocortical arousal, neocortical function. You're going to simply think faster. You're going to think better. You know, what I just did is called Synchrony Neurofeedback. In other words, I was training the left and right hemispheres of my brain to work together in synchrony. And, you know, that doesn't happen very often. That doesn't happen like naturally, like people think. Most of the time you may learn something on one hemisphere of the brain, and then once you learn it, the taking over of that activity would shift to the other half of the brain, the other hemisphere. Speaking of brain hemispheres, oh, by the way, highly recommend dopamine patches. I ordered some. I saw the ads. I ordered them, and guess what? They work. They really do work. So now that I've finished my neurofeedback session, I'm gonna slap on a patch. Okay, I think I'll put it under. No, actually, you know what? I think I'll put it on my spine. I think I'll put it over my spine today. See how it works there. I had it on my right kidney the first day and my left kidney the second day. And these dopamine patches work, right? But I don't want to confuse the effect of the dopamine patch with the effect of neurofeedback. And I didn't want that to reflect on the brain waves that you just saw, right? Now, once you train, okay, when you begin neurofeedback, if you come into the Biometrics Health Center, I would be comfortable starting you off with infra-low. Infra-low frequency neurofeedback is below 0.5 hertz, below the delta zone. Infra-low neurofeedback is basically like slowing the brain down and allowing it to restore itself to its natural state of neocortical arousal. Infra-low neurofeedback is very effective at getting rid of the dysregulation in the neocortex that is a result of stress, anxiety, intense emotions, shock, boredom, which is basically ADHD, and the overaccumulation of this dysregulation, as I've said on many videos before, is what we call PTSD, right? Is associated with what we call PTSD. So you have to go through at least 20, if not 40 or more sessions of infra-low neurofeedback before we're even ready to move into either alpha, theta, or gamma. And, you can, once you finish getting rid of a significant amount of neocortical dysregulation, you can go in either direction. You can go with alpha theta. You can work on repressed memories and repressed emotions and let the energy out of your issues. Or you can go into gamma, the gamma zone, gamma synchrony, synchronizing the hemispheres of the brain. You can actually do synchrony at any frequency, but gamma seems to be the most effective, or the one that we like the most, because you're speeding up your brain, especially for those of us over 50, right? Speeding up the brain is important. You know, I had Dick Gregory, the famous Mr. Dick Gregory, as a client of the Biomedrix Health Center years ago. In fact, let me see if I can't bust up a couple of pictures for you guys. Yeah, image. Okay, let's see. Yes, and then we're going to browse for it. Pretty sure I know where I put the picture. Biomedrix Health Center. Images. Oh no, not images, pictures. There we go. I have both an images and a pictures folder. Okay, so here. Oh wow, that's a big picture. I gotta shrink that down. Give me 1 second. A little patience, please. And of course, when Dick Gregory came to me, he was 87, I believe it is. He was 80. Yeah, he was 87 years old. Here is me and Dick Gregory at the Biomedrix Health Center. It was an honor to have him as a client, to have Dick Gregory as a client. And he was quite a character. Rest in power, Dick Gregory. And it was great having you as a client of the Biomedrix Health Center. So with older clients, we tend to do what I just did, gamma synchrony, neurofeedback, and the purpose behind it is to basically give you a pickup, pick up the speed of your thought, or pick up the neocortical arousal. It's something that staves against cognitive decline with aging, and it's something that feels really good. It feels really good. Anyway, I think that's it for this session. Once you provoke a shift, especially if you've already gone through infralow and you've already gotten rid of the neocortical dysregulation, and then you go through alpha theta and you already purge the energy attached to whatever negative memories or issues, or I think the Scientologists call being a clear, where you're no longer affected by your past, by things that have occurred in your life. And I'm not going to call them engrams. I'm not going to do that. But you're no longer affected by anything in your past. You can experience joy. That is a result of an alpha theta shift. And then when you go through the alpha theta shift and you shift gears into gamma synchrony, you should start with about 30 hertz and inch up very slowly, 0.25 hertz frequency at a time. It takes a long time to shift and train your brain to the point where you can train at 50 hertz the way I did today. But it is worth it, and it is possible. And just like anything, just like you can train your body in the gym to be a bodybuilder, to be strong and healthy, just like you can train yourself running to the point where you actually run marathons like I did this year, or the Los Angeles Marathon, like I will this coming March, and the 41st LA Marathon, you can train your brain. And, and I'm very fortunate to have been able to study neurofeedback therapy and to practice. I'm very fortunate to be able to have helped many children, not only my child, but many children who were on the autism spectrum, who suffered from ADD, ADHD, behavioral issues, bruxism, teeth grinding, insomnia. Believe me, there are a number of neurological conditions that are effectively treated by neurofeedback. Okay, and once we get past the physical issues in the brain and the neocortex of the brain, then we can move into the map of consciousness, as we see here, right? Remember the map of consciousness, okay? So you don't want to be down here at the bottom in the survival paradigm. We've already gone through all of that. Pride, anger, desire, fear, grief, apathy, guilt, shame. Look at these frequencies, 175, 150, whatever, all the way down to 20. You don't want to be there, right? And yes, you will inevitably be able to move yourself up the map of consciousness after a very, very intensive protocol of neurofeedback. But it also takes character. Religious training is important. I happen to be a Catholic. Not everybody is Catholic. But that was the religious education that I was blessed with by my mom. Shout out, Mom. I love you. Shout out to my mom. And also through discovering the philosophy of rational objectivism, right? That's how you get into this middle zone, reason and integrity. Reason at a frequency of energetic log of 400, acceptance at 350, willingness, neutrality, courage, okay? And then above that, you get into the light, what I call having the light, having that internal light. That's when you're at a beautiful place spiritually where there's love and joy and peace, the spiritual paradigm, and then enlightenment at the top. Now, I try to stay at the top. I try to stay close to the top as I can. I don't like letting people get me angry. I don't like indulging in negative emotions. I like to laugh for no reason. I like to joke and clown a lot. I love to experience joy. I like being vulnerable. I like to experience love. I like being generous. I love living in peace. And sometimes I actually reach a state of enlightenment. Sometimes, right? Sometimes if I'm lucky. And that is not only spiritual enlightenment, but sometimes I come up with good ideas for making money, right? Good ideas for being an entrepreneur. And all of that is encompassed in this, okay? This is the type of training that people would get, adults and children, when they attended the Biometrics Health Center, right? So here we are. This is Devin Lockett. Thank you for watching me. Remember, I want everyone to stay kind because you know kind is the new sexy. Kind is the only sexy. I want everyone, as always, to stay blessed, and I want everyone to stay healthy. All right? I'm going to be going live later on today, but I feel really good. This has been a very blessed experience doing my first Gamma Synchrony Neurofeedback session in a few months and quite some time. I'm pretty impressed with myself at how I was able to trigger the gongs that you heard. And like I said, I hope you guys were able to see the brainwave patterns throughout the video, but you probably weren't because when I minimized the frame, I think it may have disappeared when I minimized that window. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a wonderful Sunday.